What's good, YouTube? I'm here with another episode, and today I'll be doing an album review, Strata Compton. And most people probably did this kind of album review, where they did some kind of throwback classic. But what kind of motivated me to do this album review was watching the movie NWA. I finally seen the movie. I felt like I was the last person on this planet that haven't seen the movie, but I finally seen it. I seen the movie twice. It was pretty good. It should definitely have stuck to that nominee for that Oscar. I forgot the name of what they were nominated for, but it was a great movie. There's always something wrong with the Oscars. They always, switch up and stuff, but that was definitely a good movie. But back to the album, Shatter Compton. This album came out in 1988 with Ruthless Records, which was Eazy-E's record label, and most people don't really, uh, they look past NWA. Like, people look mainly at the beef between them. People look at Eazy-E with, real motherfucking G's, and then people look at Ice Cube with No Vaseline, and they talk more about the beef than, the actual, when they were actually together and when they actually made, history and make this groundbreaking album. And people don't kind of they're not that they overlook this album, but mainly when people talk about NWA, that's when people bring up the beef, and people really forgot about what they really have done as a group together. And this album, I'm just gonna straight out the back, it was a good album. This is definitely probably one of my favorite albums of all time. Just recently, I heard this album a couple years ago. When I actually went back to study the roots of hip hop, I went back and I came across NWA, and I fell in love with Ice Cube. And just recently now, I've been listening to the album, listened to it about maybe 4 straight times, before I even did this video. And the more I listen to it, the more I love it. And this is really bumping up to probably being my favorite album of all time. So, well, my number one is Ready to Die, Biggie. But this is probably number two. And if I keep listening to it, it might be number one. But to get straight into the album, Strata Compton, this was definitely a song that was the anthem for Compton. A lot of people stuck behind this song because it represented Compton. Everybody around definitely supported this. This was like the movement. And a lot that you get out of this, this entire album was, how they're the most dangerous group. And, the content, a lot of the music was mainly about, police brutality. And, it gave us their world, their reality, and, everybody grows up different with different experience. Me, I can't relate to a lot of stuff they've been through. So it's like they're showing me a whole nother world, and they paint me a picture of how it was back at that time in '88, living in South Central, So that's what I really love about this album. It's definitely like it's definitely like, it's like a movie being painted, and that's why Ice Cube, man, this is why I love Ice Cube so much, because when he's spitting and he's rhyming, you can hear the passion, you can hear, the spirit in his voice when he's rhyming. You know what I'm saying? When he raps this shit, he raps about, he says it and you believe him. It's real. It's real to you, and that's what I love about Ice Cube when he spits. And same thing with MC Ren and Eazy-E. Even though Eazy-E didn't have a lot to do with the writing, mainly was Ice Cube and MC Ren. It was it was still a good album. Everybody did their thing, and even Dr. Dre, he didn't have a lot to do with the writing either, but him producing the album was just amazing. I can't say nothing bad. And him and DJ Yellowfella with the mixing, and Dr. Dre with the beat machine, it worked out. This album really was good. It was well put together. It was a nice cohesive project. You hear a lot of the skits in between the songs, and even with Fuck the Police, you hear a lot of the skits, and it kind of, brought a little humor to the album, which I enjoyed. But, Strata Compton, that was like the hit right there. Even that set the tone, that song on the first track set the tone for the rest of the album. And that's what I love. Then it goes on to the second track with Gangsta Gangsta, and they were just saying gangsta ass shit in that song. And I enjoyed the song. It was definitely one of those gangsta, you know, that grind, gritty type of beat, and then, you know, them, you know, being aggressive on the mic. That was definitely, you know, a good track. And then it goes on to the third track with Fuck the Police. What I loved about that song that Ice Cube really put at my mind that I never really thought of was, you know, him saying, you know, the black cop, the black man. I forgot the verse, forgot what he said, but it was like something to like, something to the extent of the black man showing off for the white cop, you know, because even when you seen in the movie Straight Outta Compton, when they faced all of them at the studio, when everybody was face down on the floor, you know, when the officer told them to get up and go back to the studio, you know, the black cop was saying, yo, go back to your white slave. He said something like that, like, go back to your white master or something like that. And it's like, they tripped me out because Q was saying, you know, the black cop showing off for the white cop, and that's how it was back then too. You know, most people think of black, you know, cops being racist, and they think of all the white cops, but it was black cops too that was showing off for the white cops. The black cop, you're being his master. You know what I'm saying? That's what IQ was saying. So I thought that was pretty cool, and it made me think because I never thought of it like that. You know, because mainly people really think of cops being racist, and you just think of all you know, white cops being racist, but the black cop was, you know, he was the same way. He didn't like, you know, gangbangers. He didn't like thugs and hoodlums and stuff like that. So he acted a different way. And, you know, there was a lot of black crooked cops too. And, you know, it kind of changed my perspective on cops too, listening to that track and their experience. So I thought that was a pretty good track. You know, MC Ren, you know, with the 4-track, It Ain't Rough. You know, he held his own. That was one of his solo tracks. He had another solo track later in the album, but again, you know, MC Ren spit his own and he held his own, and that's, listening to that song made me want to listen to his solo project. I know he has a solo project. I'm probably gonna listen to it after this, but I didn't know he had a solo project, but he had a solo project, and just listening to this track made me want to listen to his solo project. So I thought that was pretty dope. You know, then it got to, like, you know, the 6th track, which was Express Yourself. You know, I'm looking through this playlist, you know, Express Yourself, and that's when Dr. Dre kind of comes in midway through the album, because you listen to the album and you like, where's Dr. Dre? Is he gonna spit? You know, when is he gonna rhyme? You know, because he just had like the little ad-libs, you know. But I'm like, when is he actually gonna spit? And then, you know, his time came with Express Yourself, and you know, they sampled that song from, I think it was like a band called The Watts, but the guy that actually made that record was what's his name? Let me see if I could find what's the guy's name. Charlie Wright, you know. But Dr. Dre, he sampled that song from him and turned it into a positive song. And Dr. Dre, you know, that was a nice mellow beat, and I think it fit well with Dr. Dre, because Dr. Dre, you know, he's kind of like the chill, laid back kind of dude. So I think that song fit perfectly well with Dr. Dre. So that's why I was like, you know, this is actually a cool song. It turned into a positive way. And that song's all about expressing yourself and being who you are, be true to yourself, you know. You know, you can have whatever kind of swag, you know, have your own mind, go out in the world and be yourself. And that was the positive message that I really got from that song. So I mean, that was another dope song, man. And a lot of the songs, every song has, you know, a message. You know, this album talked about, you know, racism, poverty, classism, you know, even the life living as being a black man living in Compton, you know, and why people do the things why do people do the things they do, and like why, you know, black people, why are we gang banging, why is there so much violence, you know. And they was basically saying what it was. This is why it is the way it is, you know. And you know, at that time it was a lot of that going on. So they basically expressed it in the music. You know, that's what I loved about this album. All the experience, everything they've been through, they put it on the mic. And the mic, they showed the world their life and the reality of living, man. Living at that time period, how tough and how rough it was, and people dying and gang banging. And it relates to so much to what's going on now. Even 2016, you know, a lot of stuff that they're rapping about comes back to even now. So I think that's pretty dope too. You know, that's why this album will live on forever, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, this is definitely, you know, a good album. I mean, and 8 Ball, that's probably one of my favorite tracks with Eazy-E. He was just rhyming and spitting. And his his own stuff, and him being kind of braggadocious, and that's easy right there, man, being braggadocious. And I think Eazy-E was probably the craziest member of the entire group. So 8 Ball was a cool track. That was his little solo song. What else was it? Dope Man. That was another dope song. Quiet on the Set. MC Red being braggadocious and don't fuck with me type of mentality and stuff. And that's what I always said. This whole niggas with attitude, this whole concept, it just the name itself just represents this album. So it's pretty cool, man. They got that Oakland Raider mentality. That's what I've been saying. So everybody held their own on this album. It was well produced, pretty well. The scratching kind of reminds me of I listened to Paid in Full, Rakim's album, and I think the producer to that was Eric B, I think, or something like that. I got to kind of get my knowledge up, but I listened to the album, and the scratching I kind of related to that album, and I don't know, that was just me. I kind of related to that because I'm not used to listening to like the beat machines and the scratching and stuff. I never. To the music I listen to now, you don't really hear too much scratching. That's old school. So, I kind of related to that. So, I thought that was pretty cool. And, what else can I really say more about this album? The songs were all good, I Ain't This One, that was another cool track. None of the songs, separated each other. Everything fit well together. It was a nice cohesive project, track to track to track to track to track, So, everybody, they talk about this album and, people say that this was the most groundbreaking album, and which it was, but I think Public Enemy, they should get a little more, they should get credit because they're the one talking about police brutality too, early in the 80s. So, but people don't really credit them. People mainly give credit to NWA. But I just think with this album, it was more aggressive, and these were the most violent dudes you ever meet. They was bringing that in the album, and they was showing how they were the most dangerous group. And when a group like that is so have those much powerful lyrics and stuff, it brings so much attention. That's what made them bigger, and the world knew who NWA was. I think Public Enemy was more, NWA was just up here. It was just. The most violent, but they scared white America, and even the feds. Even the feds, the FBI, like the feds were trying to stop them from making the certain music they was making. Like it was deep. They put out a lot of controversial songs, and they didn't care. They did not care. Everything happened in Detroit. That was all real. People say the cop shot in the air and ended the concert, but they did everything they could to try to stop NWA for making the music they made. But all these songs were all good songs. I know they had a lot of fun on tour, making rapping these songs, man. I know they had a lot of fun, man. It had to be a lot of fun, the songs they made. But there's not really much else I could really say, man. It was just a really good album. Listen to it, man. The more you listen to it, the more you listen to it, the more of a fan you become of either Ice Cube or Eazy-E. But for me, the more I listen to it, it makes me become more of an Eazy-E fan. To this day, I never heard a unique sound from someone that sounds like Eazy-E. Or Eazy-E is like, I don't know why, I just love his voice. I don't know, him on the song, on the tracks, makes me just love him, man. Eazy-E was cool, man. But if you haven't heard the album, definitely check it out. Definitely buy it. The CDs is still out. You can try to still find them. You go to a hip-hop store. But this was a good album, man. I just think Jerry Heller kind of messed up this group, man. He messed them all up. But it is what it is. They still put out this amazing record, and just support it, man. So you guys tell me what you think. What's your favorite songs? Did I miss anything? But there's so much to say on this album. I'm trying to cut it down and trying to make this quick video. And I don't want to be here for half an hour, which I could, but yeah, definitely, man. So make sure you comment, like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter. We can talk hip hop, anything. So NWA, man. Peace.
Straight out of Compton, crazy motherfucker named Ice Cube.